All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. For those of you in Ontario like me, I hope you're enjoying the snow. Um, my name is Akin Busari. I'm the founder and president of PCIF Development Cooperative, Inc., also known as Pomoja. At Pomoja, we practice group economics, pulling our resources together to invest collectively in impactful projects. One of the current initiatives and projects that we have now is we acquired 100-acre farmland in Kowata Lakes, Ontario. Beyond investments, we are deeply committed to community growth and education. We regularly organize free workshops and seminars designed to help our community to learn, to grow, and thrive. Just like today's session, if you would like to learn more about Pamoja, please visit our website, www.pcif.ca or www.pamojafarms.ca. I put the links to our website in the chat as well. So if you want to learn more about Pamoja as an organization, you can visit our website. It's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Immanuel Rofeh Biney, a respected physician and educator. Dr. Biney is the founder of Gut Care Africa and holds a doctorate in preventive healthcare and regenerative healing. He's speaking today on making healthy choices and strategies for a vibrant 2026. In our community, many of us tend to wait for, from when we're like diagnosed with like illness or, uh, like a disease, for instance, before taking action. So, which is not really good. And I think learning preventive methods and ways we can, heal our bodies naturally and so on and so forth is extremely essential. So today, Dr. Biney will remind us on preventative care that we can do, as a community, and that is essential as well. With that, I would like to invite Dr. Biney to begin. Dr. Biney, are you with us now? Can you introduce yourself, if you are?
Yes, my brother Akin.
Okay.
Good evening from Ghana. I believe it's noontime in Canada. As my brother, you greeted me noon this few minutes ago.
I
greet all your members who have joined this seasons of this year's session. It's good to be back and share more about clinical findings, what is coming up each and every season, every day, about ways to improve health. So my name is Immanuel Biney, and I'm a naturopathic doctor and a holistic health strategist with an extensive expertise in gut health, regenerative healing, and natural medicine. I'm also the founder and the chair of Gut Care Group, which is a multidisciplinary health organization dedicated to advancing preventive and regenerative healthcare across Africa through natural and evidence-informed approaches. With my strong foundation in naturopathy, herbal medicine, Iridology, those of you who doesn't have much insight into what Iridology is, Iridology is an ancient, I would say, diagnostic tool that was used to assess internal strength and weaknesses in the body. It helps to locate areas of strength and areas of weakness, which tissues need help, which tissues aren't receiving all them supplements, quality foods, and what have you, that some of us who are enlightened been eating well, but yet not really feeling great in our bodies. Some of us, we've been having regular checkups, yet all of a sudden an imbalance or disorder would pop up on us. For instance, every year you go for checkups, and one of the years you would be diagnosed with diabetes and you would be frustrated. But I've been checking up and all of that. Why now? There are more to health checkups and assessments than what the Western exposed humanity to. So iridology is one of the ancient diagnostic tools that you could go into a person's eye iris. So as we also have sclerology, going into the one's sclera, which is the white part of the eyes. But iridology is what I'm speaking to. So iridology goes into the brown iris. If you are an African or have more melanin in you, or going into the haze or the blue iris to determine the line you are from and what weaknesses has been passed on to you as a child, and what have you added to your weaknesses, and what is your body fighting to overcome. All of that, iridology will be able to help you discover these before it pops up on you when you're not ready. So that is why the iridology, very extensive into that, also with a strong foundation. I'm also a body worker, and by body work, referring to massage, reflexology, colon therapy, such as colon hydrotherapy, and what have you, and regenerative nutrition. In this era where diseases is kind of overwhelming humanity, it's very key to bring back regenerative nutrition, and that entails eating for nourishment, and also not just eating for nourishment, but knowing exactly what you're feeding in your body. Some people have imbalances and they need to know what and how to eat, how to combine the food they're eating and what time they're supposed to eat, you know. So have strong foundation in regenerative nutrition as well. So I've been integrating ancient healing wisdom with modern natural science to restore balance and vitality in the body. And my mission is very clear: to transition communities from a paradigm of disease and degeneration to one of a health and regeneration. So I'm excited to join this year's session to discuss with you all ways we could make healthy choices for Vibrant 2026. I'm excited to be back once again, my brother Akin. If our audience are ready for what we have to share today, I would like us to know this is going to be more about a discussion so that we could all look into things together, and I would share evidence-based clinical findings of what is happening, how do we go about improving our health beyond what we've been propagandering about over the decades, confusing ourselves with all kinds of emotions-informed choices rather than the science or evidence-informed choices. So if everyone is with me, I would like to check in quick with you all if we are ready for this evening session, and we should roll out, or we should wait for friends, family to jump on. My brother Akin, what do we do from here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. We are ready. We are all set to go, and we're recording the session for those that are not here, and they can always go back and watch. But we're excited to have you, and let's get started.
Yes, awesome. Excited to be back. Excited to be called upon to share what we've been learning, researching, looking into over the years with our people. I was looking into the statistics of what has been a major challenge in Canada, especially looking into the recent data provided over the past about 5 years to this very moment, and what you see out there rising more is the same old cancers and heart or cardiovascular disorders. And the next is diabetes. And then we come to the next, which is anxiety and mood disorders. And this is something that is not just found with Canadians or families dwelling in Canada. These are, in my findings, disorders that are heavily found among Black communities or Black race. And this brings me to the point where I make sure that our people have been well informed about our body and how our bodies function, and how even in the preventive healthcare, we still discover things so late, especially when we go by the mainstream's understanding of preventive healthcare, which mostly are about regular checkups and what have you, those other points that we know. But I stress on regular checkups, and due to our body type or what we have in abundance in us as African descents, or I would say people with high neuromelanin in our cells, we tend to have a delay in diagnosis. And when we don't take into consideration this identity crisis as being a part of a bigger problem that we need to address, then we end up having to understand a metabolic disorder such as diabetes to be a disorder that popped up on the day that we were diagnosed in, or the year we were diagnosed in. So, for instance, most of our people go about feeling that 2024 or 2025 or 2023, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And if you are an African descent, or you're someone with higher melanin or carbon in your cells, which means that you could walk around with blood glucose disorders for 5 to 10 years, and it wouldn't show up in your regular checkups. But the day it shows up could have been in you, with you for the past 5 years, could have been with you for the past 10 years, depending on how resilient your genetic responses are, depending on the line you came through and what percentage of melanin is still existing in your cells, and how that would keep you from manifesting the symptoms to be able to acknowledge what you've earned and what steps you need to take to rectify things. And this goes also with cardiovascular disorders. This goes with cancers. This goes with nervous disorders, arthritis, mood disorders, and what have you. We, or the race or the people with high carbon or high melanin content in our cells, we tend to have a delayed diagnosis of what's really going on in our bodies, because the medium or the channels we utilize for our diagnosis are channels that are not, for a fact, designed to accurately serve us. So we're going to have to do more than some of the random tests that we go through, or we run our bodies through on a yearly basis to confirm what status we're in with our health. So just saying that or throwing that into the conversation before we jump into the discussion of making healthy choices, strategies for a vibrant 2026. I would love to remind all of us that everything boils down to identity, okay? Everything boils down to identity. And I'm gonna switch a bit and go into the fruit nation or the fruit kingdom to kind of use fruit as an analogy to convey my message. If a banana kingdom or banana empire, all of us knowing that banana is fruit, just as watermelon is fruit, just as berries are fruit, melons are fruits. However, there is a difference between a
Dr. Biney, are you with us? Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Yeah, it seems that his mic went off.
Okay.
Maybe try sending him a text message and see.
He'll rejoin shortly. I think he dropped off actually in the call.
Yeah, he did.
hello.
Great, we're here. Welcome back.
Oh, it's me that went. I thought it was the whole thing jumped. All right, awesome. Okay, so we want to understand the identity crisis. Bring all us to the understanding that if you came as a banana, you're going to have to leave as a banana. And if you came as a melon, you're going to have to leave as a melon. And by that, going to have to make sure that sourcing of your food matters. As a Latino or an African or Caucasian, whatever race you find yourself with, you're going to have to make sure that you're not stepping out of your genetic makeup. That's very key. And so when we consider that, fast forward and jump into my slide, we could look into what we have on our screen from here. I wanted everyone to have what I said earlier to be at the back of our heads as we look into the slides that I have to share with all of us today. So I have here, food is more than calories. Can we get to food is more than calories? Food is more than calories. And by now, I believe most of us, if you are healthy, you could attest that food has played a major role in you being healthy. And if you are having any imbalances, you could also attest to that food can't be eliminated out of why or the reasons you have few imbalances. But I like to remind us that food is a biological information. And by that, every meal sends a signal to the body. And by that, we are to become aware that food can support healing or fuel disease. And eating is a daily health decision. Now, in a world where everything is fast, in haste, it is very easy to jump into or find yourself throwing in calorie-dense substances into your mouth as food. And these are the cultures that we see mostly or heavily in the transient economies or cultures with transient economic pillars, whereby certain decisions are limited to how fast you could move, how fast you could get something done. And today, after turning around and around and around, I believe most of us, if not all of us on this call, would attest to that healing is tied to slowing down. Healing is tied to eating real foods, eating wholesome foods. Because nutrition or food, we've come to learn that we are what we eat. And we pay heavy prices when we go by what is convenient only. And considering that food is a biological information, and me speaking as a gut health expert, over the past years with my findings, I discovered that when you take out gut health, when you take gut health out of the equation, everybody is left to eat to just fill their bellies. And by that, we were eating without connecting food to a source of healing. We were eating, learning that we needed to eat for nourishment, but little were we told, or did we know, that you could eat the most quality food on the planet that is coming from the richest soil, but if you have your gut microbiome thrown off, you're going to be in trouble, because they are responsible for converting what we put into our mouth into all the benefits we read about that food. So we know carrot to be rich in beta carotene and is good for sight, to help out with our vision. But it's going to take the work of your gut microbiome to help that which you read about carrot to be able to come alive in your body. Other than that, your carrot is useless. So food holds codes, biological codes that instruct the body. And we shouldn't just focus on calories and eat with a concern on how much or how many calories am I ingesting, okay? So food is more than calories. And I spend most part of my years of practice writing and recommending, prescribing medications to my clients as to what they need to get better and all of that, until the latter part of my practice, nutrition or food showed me more than what I learned in the books. And so today, I had to use more food, focus more on nutrition than I would focus more on herbs, more on medicine. So let's get into it. Food as medicine. Does anyone have question on the previous slide? And I will say, if you have, note it down so that when it's open for questions, we could flow. Food as medicine. That we're looking into the traditional systems used food therapeutically, our traditional systems. And this takes us back to how our ancient people or our ancestors, without sitting in the classrooms, came up with bowel knowledge, gut knowledge, and did so many things with food that today we could tap into the reasons to their longevity and vitality. Our ancestors lived longer because they understood what food was. And traditional systems used food therapeutically. We're talking about our ancestors, with all the knowledge they had, did whatever they could to keep their food whole. Very less of a process. They consumed wholesome foods, and they used very little of what comes up in boxes and what comes in, what you have to pick from shelves with an expiry date on them, or labels containing ingredients that most of the consumers can't even read these ingredients nor understand what they are. They transformed a lot of things, but they kept food in its simplest state because they understood what food was and they had bowel knowledge. They had gut knowledge. So we find out, or we go back and we see that our ancestors and the past cultures that lived longer kind of understood that healing begins in the kitchen, from how we combine our foods and how we preserved our foods. An example of it is our ancestors looking into more fermentation of foods to allow microbes pre-digest foods for them, which contributed to prolonged digestive power as compared to this day. Most of us, the food we consume takes life out of our digestion or digestive tissues. And because we lack the idea of food is our medicine, most of us in today's world, our foods are so denatured. But let's get to it. Some of us also doesn't apply consistency. Some of us, we jump into the trend and the understanding is centered around quality, what is perfect. And most of us, because there is too many information out there that we don't know what to follow, we purchase good stuff. And because society had trained us with transient mindset, most of us really also doesn't have the patience to allow our body jump back into rhythms. So let's get into food as why food sourcing matters. Soil health. And this, my brother Akin and Pamoja agenda is something that I admire. I admire so much whenever I stumble on your organization, Pamoja. It reminds me of one of these essential matters that are pushing a lot of us into a wrong direction, which is the soil health of the food that we consume. The soil health of the food that we consume in today's world. Most places, soil had lost its integrity, and so is the food coming out of them. And this is affecting health heavily everywhere humanity can be found. Almost everywhere, we had to do something about the soil if we're going to have quality nutrients into our bodies. Food sourcing matters because also of genetically modified organism that we have been pushed on humanity strongly in this era. And I believe most of us are aware of genetically modified organism, which could have a lot of us reduce our lifespans into half or 1/3 of what our ancestors lived if nothing is done about these crises. So the reason that I personally admire Pamoja's initiatives industrial foods versus regenerative farming. So there has to be a regenerative farming. There has to be more about Pamoja initiatives all across the planet. More people. And this era, it shouldn't be just for business. Everyone needs to jump on this and make sure that we are all getting ourselves involved in regenerative farming, because food is a part of vibrant living, and we can't take that out of the equation. We're going to also take a look at, I'm going to jump off a bit, and then we're going to jump back into the discussion. All that we're saying here in the slides, you will notice that speaks about food, nutrition, and then as we get down on the slide, there is going to be more insights that we will learn to be part of the excellent strategies we could utilize for Vibrant 2026. But I'm going to shift gears a bit and also acknowledge all the systems that are so key in achieving vibrant health in this era that we live in. And that brings me to the discussion phase of this conversation or this lecture. We know food plays a major role, but we're going to jump into the body, the human body. And this, I'm trying to tie what is troubling humanity today and how we happen to be here. Considering nervous disorders that manifested in the form of anxiety and mood disorders. I would like to ask a question that what do we think is missing that has resulted in our nervous system failing us everywhere we turn? There is high arthritis diagnosis or rates, anxiety, mood disorders, high rising of mood disorders. Could that be just about food in this discussion? Why some of us may be processing these thoughts that could food be contributing to our higher nervous disorders in societies? Are you all with me?
Yes, we are.
We're looking at nervous disorders and anxiety, mood disorders, joint complaints. It's rising high in our communities. And some of us could be processing, could all of this be about food? Could food be contributing to all of this? Well, let me put it this way. If you're skeptical, if you are here and you really don't connect nervous disorders to nutrition, show me your thumb in the comment section. Hold on to that point for me. If you have such as a concern or you have a question to that. So I'm gonna put these in the letter, and I would have us go quickly through these slides so we could open it up and discuss rather. So my brother, let's flow with these slides. So we've looked into industrial food and regenerative farming. We're looking into local seasonal foods. And by local seasonal food, we're gonna have to look into circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. And that circadian rhythm is a biological clock that is in our bodies and also in the universe that guides and controls the time every species that have life should rise and fall. That is, you get to a period where that which has life in it, we're looking at animals, we're looking at plants, we're looking at humans. But since we are humans, so we're going to look at in the human body, there is circadian rhythm. There is a clock that your digestive tract utilize, and there is a clock your liver is on or functions by. There is a clock for your kidney health. There is a clock for everything, literally. And so is the foods. And then we have the seasons where there is summer, there is winter, and what have you. So speaking to the circadian rhythm, understanding that there is internal clock governing all things that has life, we need to understand that there is a way to eat, time to eat, and how to eat. And today's about 60-70% of today's crisis is found to be health crisis, is tied to humanity having to live outside of this clock that our bodies spins on. Most of us, we are outside of this clock. and we don't eat seasonal foods, neither do we eat to support this circadian rhythm. So an example of us not eating seasonal food is the reality of having to enjoy rice throughout seasons. The reality of us, most of us, we want to enjoy our favorites throughout the seasons. There is a season to have more plants, and there is a season to have more proteins, and there is a season to have nothing at all. However, we're going by really missing out on this biological clock in our bodies. So we're really not making a great use of our circadian rhythm. Therefore, example is most of us, especially out there in Canada, when it's a cold season, we find it very difficult to stand the cold because we really didn't live by the circadian rhythm to eat or enrich our bodies with much of omega-3 before the cold catch up with us. Most of us fail to consume enough of healthy fats in preparation for the cold. So when the cold is here, a lot of us have to double our jacket and keep up with our hot temperature rooms because the cold overwhelms us. That is because we are off the circadian rhythm of our bodies, circadian rhythm of the universe. So we have to jump back and learn how to eat local, not always trying to have what we love entering our bodies all the time. And we also have to eat with the seasons, okay? Then we have to jump into the sustainable farming, which since I'm speaking to mostly Pamoja members, I wouldn't even have to stress much on sustainable farming. Let's jump on the next slide. Preparation and food combination, cooking methods affect nutrient value. Most of us we prefer our food cooked in oils as compared to grill, boil, raw, roasted. We prefer them fried because fried tastes better, tastes super delicious. And we get carried away, we consume more fried stuff. And the cooking method, if most of your food consumed goes through frying as a method of cooking, then you're going to find it difficult to have a good functioning nervous system. If your food is mostly fried, you're going to have issues with your nervous system, creaking joints, arthritis, blurry vision, itchy ears, or your aches in your ears, difficulty in hearing or hear loss, and what have you. That is for loving too much fried as a method when it comes to food preparation. And then we have the poor combination. There is these habits of just putting everything together with an idea that every piece of what comes together on our plate would find its way when it enters our alimentary canal. Carbs will go into where carbs are needed, and proteins will go into where proteins are needed, and fats goes into where fats are needed, and so forth, so on. With these habits, we tend to strain our digestive as a system. And today, we see a lot of metabolic disorders because wrong food combination or poor combinations could also render someone with digestive dysfunction, appearing as hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, obesity, and what have you, for combining wrongly or having too many codes, information on the plates in your bottle that you instruct your body with. That's if you understand what you're doing or what you've been doing all these years, you've been straining digestion. You've been overworking your digestive as a system. Then we get into overeating. Overeating is found mostly with people that have already developed gut issues. If you find yourself eating every 2 to 4 hours, you're already battling a digestive issues, because then let me break it down this way. There are most of us who have this habit of eating to the full. We eat till we can't have the next bite. That is a poor habit that throws off the gastric or the stomach as an organ. We tend to reduce our stomach acid with our overeating habits. Because the food tastes so nice, we would eat till we can't force the next bite into our mouth. And if you are this person that always eats till full, I like to remind you that you are overeating, and that alone could bring you digestive metabolic disorders, which could manifest as a cardiovascular health crisis, diabetes, joint discomfort, or nervous discomfort in the form of anxiety and mood disorders. And then we come to the other folks that appears as being overeating, and these folks tend to need food every 2 to 4 hours. And it's not their fault. They eat, and in a few minutes, couple of minutes, it doesn't feel like they've eaten. They want to pick back food again. They just want to jump on, throw something into their mouth again because they can't tell where the food they ate has gone to. Now, these are folks whose body systems request for food, cells requesting for food. But when they eat, the food doesn't get to their cells, either because they have a blocked GI tract, microvilli are blocked and the food doesn't reach them. The cell that requests for the food doesn't reach them, or these folks eat or consume foods that are very less in value when it comes to nutrients for their bodies. So they also tend to overeat. There are those who sit in front of a huge bowl, pan of food to stress their digestion, and there are those who eat and their food gets nowhere. For that matter, they jump onto a next plate of food because they feel hungry again. And these folks also stresses their gut function and weakens their digestive power. Simple meals digest better, for a fact. Simpler the food, faster, easier digestion that food goes through. And with this, we could look into the use of industrial oils that is heavily used in most of the quick fast food we grab and go versus using butter, pure butter to cook, using butter in place of industrial oils, coconut, olive oil, palm kernel, or ghee. These are all simple to digest. And this, I mean, if your food doesn't have to go through a lot of processes before it gets to your plate, it's a simple grill, simple roast, simple steam, boil. These food digests better. And if your digestive system isn't given a lot of work to do, you tend to have more energy in your whole body, more sharper nervous function, cardiovascular health, and the entire body systems function smoothly because you don't strain your digestive tissues. And we will get into this as the slides goes on. Let's move on to the next slide. The gut foundation of health. This subject here is something that is fascinating all the top physicians in the world today. Almost, we have all the cardiologists, the gastroenterologists, different experts are all moving into gut health because we've lived long time convincing ourselves that causes to our health crisis are unknown. Yet, all of them sit in our guts. And the gut has been neglected or been reduced to few points, few areas, such as ulcers, cancers of the bowel, and the deformities of the bowel we know, such as diverticulitis, inflammation, or diverticulite, which is pouching out of a part of the bowel. But just a summing up of how we reduce gut health into just ulcers and cancers. A lot of us couldn't connect how even all the inflammations are beginning from our gut, which by that you could imagine all the joint discomforts in everywhere you could imagine, the shoulders, inflammations on our liver, inflammations on our prostate, inflammations all over the body. Recent findings are showing us they're all beginning, starting from the gut. All types of inflammations start from the gut. So today we are locating causes of health crisis. We're no longer dwelling in the confusion that cause is unknown, but only symptoms we could go by and manage. Now we know the gut is the central hub of digestion and absorption, and it influences our immunity. Today we know that 70-80% of our immunity sits in the gut. And today we have learned why COVID hit humanity badly, especially the cultures and the lands that had poor bowel health were heavily hit by COVID because cultures all over the world mostly had corrupted bowel health or gut health. So hormonal imbalances appearing as diabetes, fibroids in our sisters, endometriosis, PCOS, these are all rising. And a lot of sisters are removed fibroids and it has regrown because over the years, we didn't connect hormone function to gut health. We were only focused with the medication. But today, we know that gut health heavily regulates our hormones and mood. And for that matter, we need to prioritize gut health if we're going to have strong immunity, hormone, and mood as humans. By this, we would like to remind all the listeners today that even gene expressions are regulated by our gut microbiome. In the form of analogy, we know that if our genes are likened onto the light bulbs in our houses, the gut microbiome are the switch that turns on and off these light bulbs we have in our homes. So by that, your gut microbiome could have your genes expressed in a way that would be fascinating, very shocking to you. And this we hear and we learn these from families that wouldn't have nervous disorders, but they would have children expressing nervous disorders. It's not in the genes, but the genes are expressing a nervous weakness because of certain foods that has been consumed, or a way that food was consumed heavily impacted gut microbiome, and gut microbiome or gut microbes had to share their frustrations by going through or impacting how genes need to express their regular daily functions. So in healing, we have people that have seemingly cardiovascular health crisis. And I'm giving an example. There are those who have aching chest. Their chest aches them. People who walk few miles and they pant heavily, they would have to pause and rest a bit before they continue on with their journey. And these folks have seen their cardiologist, they've run all necessary tests, and every time result comes out, they are fine. There is nothing wrong with their heart as an organ or as a system to need a medication, to be put on medications. Some of these folks are on blood medications such as amlodipine, and their dosages 5 mg. In other words, let me flip this. Everyone who suffers cardiovascular disorders in the form of high blood pressure and the kind, and your GP has put you on 5 milligrams of whatever the drug, whether amlodipine or nifedipine, which of the medication that you're on, and your dosage is 5 milligrams. I like to share with you that you really don't have cardiovascular health issues. Your microbes, your gut microbes are expressing through your cardiovascular function or cardiovascular health what stress, frustrations you've been putting them through. Over here in our clinics, there are lots of people that are no longer going about in need of any pill for cardiovascular function after we had fixed these core imbalances in their bodies. So today we know that the gut is a foundation of health and can show up in a way you may think you have cardiovascular challenges, or in a way you may think you have disorders of the vertebra. Those that have backache, waistline, discomfort, what have you, run tests, run x-rays, run MRIs, comes out you're good, and your GP could only help you with painkillers. All of this today, in these seasons, we've discovered that they are all forms of genes expressions springing from the gut microbiome or gut microbes interaction with various systems, from how we've been frustrating them with our negligence and our ignorance. We're looking at poor gut health affect the entire body. And what I've said so far if any would have a specific question, we could delve in deeper so we can move on with the slides. So healing starts from inside. Let's go on. Let's move on from here. Gut and immunity. I have said this. The gut is found to house 70 to 80% of our immune cells. And so we learn all of this is making sense now after COVID, and humanity's attention moved to building our immunity, and we learned that building immunity is not just found in a container of a bottle to do a magic, just to boost your immunity right away. No, it's something you nurture by nurturing your gut microbes. And that we're looking at you not keeping yourself within a restrictive diet, but having to eat variety, considering rest, considering sunshine, considering light movement, and all that we have in the clinical records today to show to have a higher heavy impact on our immunity. So when you think of immunity, don't be thinking about a quick supplements. It's all joins in the equation for us to have a great immunity. But immunity is a lifestyle that we nurture. We nurture ourselves into a strong immunity, making sure that you don't have your gut barrier compromised, as most people walking around the planet today have due to lack of fiber in the diet. So we're gonna poor digestion weakens immune defense. And so we spoke about that. Those of us that prefer our food fried other than other cooking methods. Frequent illness often starts in the gut. Yes, that's for sure. We know that if you mess up the gut barrier, then literally you are doomed. So strong gut is strong immunity. So when immunity comes to mind, it's no longer a magic pill in a bottle we drink and we boost our immunity. No, immunity is something you nurture. You nurture through what you eat, how you move. Immunity is intentional life choices of what serves the body. And most importantly, immunity is on the plate. Quality of the food and how it was prepped and how and what time we consume them all matters when immunity comes to mind. Next slide. Gut energy and mood. The gut-brain connection is real. And that, I mean to remind all of us that forgetfulness or memory loss called brain fog, fatigue, anxiety, all of this in recent findings showing that it's actually a gut issue manifesting or being shared through the brains. We have come to learn that if you're forgetting stuff, it's not a disorder in your head brain to be focusing the solution in the head. It has to be, the solution has to be on the plate, in the gut. More about fixing the barrier in the gut that opens to the brain in the head that is disconnected. So we've seen that imbalances affect focus and emotions. Fatigue often begins in digestion, as I've said. Mental clarity starts in the gut. So This answers why all the top physicians are moving into gut health. And today, what to eat, how to eat are all decided with a person's gut health. You can't just jump on the trend and eat because the trend says it's healthy. For example, if you have a poor gut health, you might not find yourself doing so well eating salads. And the trend explains salad is healthy food, and you particular person that have a terrible gut barrier may not be benefiting from salads. So that's how everything now has been brought down to what a person's gut health status is before anything else comes, not just what is trending to be healthy for this or for that. Let's move on to the next slide. So signs of gut imbalance: bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, all of that. Point one is explaining something we refer to in the medical language as gut motility. Gut motility. And so when a person's gut motility is thrown off, you experience all of the above. So actually, if you're someone who experiences constipation, you are not different from a person who experiences diarrhea, gas, and bloating. If you experience any of these, the message is you have a compromised gut motility. And gut motility is literally talking about the rhythm that your gut movement's supposed to be on to make sure that digestion, that is disintegration of whatever you've consumed, is properly carried out, and the goodies or nutrients stored in those various foods get into your cells or tissues. When your gut motility or rhythm is compromised, this very person, you start to experience bloating, gas, constipation, and diarrhea. This is going to impact how much of a nutrient you absorb into your tissues. And therefore, that's also going to impact food you need to consume. You have to go beyond what is healthy to what is healthy plus friendly. If you stick with just what is healthy, you'll still be wrong and not knowing you are wrong. Chronic fatigue or low energy also is a sign of gut imbalance, since energy is discovered to originate from our bowel health. So with this, I would give an example such as those of us who overeat or who tends to have greasy foods, and just after eating, we feel sleepy. We feel like we need to take a nap. Literally, the food put us to sleep before we would feel sleepy. This is because the bowel or the gut is the central hub for everything, including energy. So when a person eats too often, these folks that eat too often are found to have low energy because every food and frequent eating strains the digestive as a system, the gut, most importantly, and leaves you with low energy all the time. So if you find yourself your body requesting for food at short intervals, it's actually a disorder that you need to fix. and not think that my body loves food or I love food, I'm a foodie, and go about with labels on you to doing wrong stuff. People with skin disorders, brain fog, which I've spoken about, are all tied to the gut. Let's move to the next slide. So we're looking at reactive and preventive health. When you are in a haste, going, flowing with the system, which doesn't, if you slow down, you might not be able to catch up with the bills. It's very key that you don't get carried away to consume food or get so carried into the hasteful nature of the system and miss preventive measures. So in as much as we are taking into consideration reactive health, reactive care, which is about managing of symptoms, we also have to prioritize preventive care, which supports balance. And preventive care goes on like a simple, mindful choices, which is making time to rest, keeping the food simple, making sure we're not always going after our taste buds to choose what tastes so delicious, and just feed the taste buds and put the entire systems under frustrative moods. Most diseases develop silently. So, like I said, especially if you are a melanated folk, you need to understand that you could walk around with diabetes or digestive metabolic disorders for 5 to 10 years before they show up or manifest. And so if you don't go beyond just symptomology care and management and move towards more holistic preventive care, balance supporting approaches, such as making time to fast, detox, reset the digestive systems, and getting rid of toxic loads of the tissues, and having a mindful movement, getting your body exposed to the sun, and the days there are no sun, supplement with vitamin D. If you don't put into consideration these other mindful preventive practices, you could harbor imbalances that could actually hide in your tissue silently and pop up on you out of the blue in 5 to 10 years' time without your notice. So early action saves long-term cost. Next slide. What is regenerative health? Supporting the body's self-healing abilities. So you're going to have to be someone that loves detoxifications, which doesn't have to be break the bank type of detox practices. You could go as simple as dedicating mornings for no food. And if you're going to eat food, you could keep it as fruit, high cleansing fruit, such as grapefruits, lemons, and sour tasting fruit, or bitter fruits, or bitter herbs, the bitter gourd, and bitter tasting vegetables that you could dedicate your mornings on. You could actually take, for instance, 3 days out of a week. Start it slowly. 3 days out of a week, jump on a a high fruit mornings as a fast. That is, you're not jumping on any heavy greasy meal or super frustrating combining meal in the hour of the morning, because the mornings are for the digestive tract. It's a time our digestive tract takes to eliminate previous meals we ate in the previous days. So the dinner next morning is the time your digestive tract, if it's functioning right, would utilize to eliminate these debris of the system. So when we jump on and eat that heavy cooked meal, we initiate digestion again when we should allow elimination to complete. So supporting the body self-healing is understanding the body, the circadian rhythm I spoke about, and allow elimination to complete by not throwing food into your digestive tract within the mornings that you wake up. Do not follow the recommended balanced diet and the recommended hours and times for eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. These came out in the past decades from folks that didn't have any knowledge about gut health. So they were just propagandering on ways to make more profit for food industries and the health industries. You don't go about following these to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, because it's advisable for you to do so by the mainstream. When you do that, you don't support your body's healing ability. Restoring balance, not suppressing symptoms, such as if you feel your body wants to eliminate and cleanse itself, especially with cough, cold, respiratory suppressing practices that the mainstream had pushed on all of us, most of us, and we tend to have that in mind when we're coughing. Most of us want to take in something to stop the cough. A shift from that into having to take in supplements or natural medicines and a dietary guidelines protocols that support the elimination of whatever toxins the respiratory tract is trying to eliminate. It rather supports the respiratory tract by having teas with herbs such as mullein. You drink a mullein tea to support the respiratory function, or you have you take in cloves and ginger is very excellent in supporting elimination of whatever toxins your respiratory tract is trying to remove. Sour fruits such as lemons, passion fruits, and all the sour fruits are very helpful in supporting respiratory toxin elimination. So when we make these we put these into our practices, we help ourselves a lot. When you face or experience water retention, you want to utilize nettles, which is a heavy diuretic in helping to remove excess water from the body. And you also want to make an excellent use of sour-tasting fruits, such as grapefruit, lemons, tangerines, oranges. They are very excellent for water retention disorders. So let's have this type of mindset that support the core systems, tissues function and not just suppress a symptom, because a symptom is not what you are to be afraid of, because it's just a message. And it shows or gives us insight in the real deal, what we need to do to heal. I say it fix the root cause and the symptom will vanish. So symptoms are not anything to be afraid of. Let's heal from the root cause and we wouldn't have to bother ourselves with the symptoms. Next slide. Why prevention matters. We all know how much it costs to try to manage a symptom. You just keep spending, you keep spending, you keep spending. And nobody on the symptom management protocols had ever felt great, better. No, health keeps declining and doses keeps increasing. That is because nothing being done to the cause, symptom wouldn't just go away. So it happens that we spend more when we don't take time to fix chronic illnesses. It is chronic because the cause has never been understood to know exactly what to do to fix it. That's why we call it chronic. Early signals are often ignored, such as common headaches. When we have headaches, most of us don't tend to trace what that headache comes from often, whether it was a dehydration or it was some form of infections that our bodies are trying to communicate with us. We just rest. When we feel headache, we rest and the headache goes away. Sometimes it might be us pushing too much. So rest is key. Some of us, we drink water and our headache goes away, which is fantastic. But I urge you to probe further and learn why that headache been showing up more than usual. Small changes prevent major breakdowns. So let's get into digging deeper. And digging deeper, I mean, sometimes you would want to utilize Asian diagnostic tools such as Iridology. If you know any iridologist, and it's very great to be utilizing these type of Asian diagnostic tools to learn about areas of weaknesses in your body where nutrients aren't reaching in your tissues, so you know what to do ASAP to save the day. So health is easier maintained than restored. Let's move on to the next slide. Everyday strategies for thriving. Health is built daily. We've spoken about most of it. Being intentional is key to longevity, is key to having a vibrant health. Being intentional, not just to what you're eating, but to your environment, to everything else that supports life and living. Being intentional, most importantly, on the trending findings, breathing, being intentional, having an intentional breathing is found to be saving a lot of nervous disorders, especially with a lot of disorders springing from dysregulated vagus nerve. intentional breathing is doing magic. So being intentional, the simplest way you could be intentional is with your breathing. Study shows intentional breathing could save you from having to need more higher doses of your cardiovascular disorder drugs, medications. If you could go intentional in breathing, you could self-regulate your cardiovascular health and reduce or eventually come off the cardiovascular pills. Consistency over extremes. Being consistent is key. Don't be going about with motivation. You get motivated, you do what is right. You don't get you need motivation to do what is needful. That isn't a good habit. Stay consistent. If it's about drinking a glass of water with a pinch of Celtic salt, don't do it as and when you remember. Set it and be rhythmic about that. If it's about slight gentle movements, stay consistent with these practices. They go very long in supporting us from having to break down in silence. So stay consistent. Don't consider extremes to be the key. Pushing yourself beyond the norm to make something happen or to get something happen. No, these are all not necessary. Stay within be consistent and see how the result will shock you. Again, alignment over convenience. I have expounded on this. We can move to the next slide. So daily non-negotiables. Oh goodness, this is one of the most important points. Daily non-negotiables. The first point is hydration. And this reminds me to share with all of us that, and this goes to those actually that battled constipation. Hydration is key. And when you're constipated, you are told to hydrate. And lots of us who are constipated, they hydrate and sees nothing really, literally. They don't see no much changes. And there are those of us that also have learned or come to understand the importance of fiber on the plate. And for that reason, tend to have more fruits, more veggies, and shockingly, we tend to feel dehydrated. Adequate hydration, having to have infused water to help move things that we've consumed, since a lot of us be eating grains, found to be having more corn-related food, wheat-related food, rice food. We tend to have more grain-based foods. You would want to have a lot of fluids. And if you are melanated folks, that is Black folks, you know that our taste buds are structured differently. So drinking water is not our thing. You would want to have an infused water. You could infuse your water with cucumbers, star fruits, star tasting fruits, and the like, to make sure you are consuming enough, because to Black folks with sharper taste buds, that only translates into whatever we would love or like to take enough of, that drink or food needs to have some salt to it. It needs to be salted right, or it needs to be sweetened right. So when a Black folks is taking something that doesn't have taste, we struggle. We don't like drinking because water doesn't have taste. So you need to infuse your water so you could drink enough. And that's a trick or a way to drink or have adequate hydration, especially when you are a melanated folk. If you're left to chance, you will always have very poor water consumption. And I'm speaking this to us and our makeup, and also the era and the food we tends to consume more of because of quick preparations and convenience. So if you're consuming more granivore food, you want to drink enough water, not when you're thirsty, but you understand that your digestive system needs that to move what we consume in a dry state, water consuming pooling state. We need to drink water to get all of them moving perfectly in our digestive tract. Digestive friendly meals, I said earlier, it's not just about healthy. You got to go beyond what's healthy and also consider what's healthy and friendly. If you only go by what's healthy, and you might be wrong, it might not be friendly also as well with your digestive tract, then you would only be right in your mind and wrong everywhere else. Make sure you're having a quality rest and a sleep, a gentle daily movement, okay? Quality rest and a gentle daily movement. What is the next slide? I believe we are done. Family and community health. Health habits are learned at home. So some of us that came from homes that so much about health wasn't observed when we were children. We learned some of these late, but it's very necessary we pass it on to the next generation early. You're doing it not just for yourself. So make sure that if you're a family person, you're doing this, changing these habits to have an impact on the next generation, your daughters, your sons, and the children. Next slide. Small shift, big impact. Fewer ingredients, more whole foods. Very important, as I've spoken about it earlier. Better meal timing to bring your body back to the circadian rhythm. Don't eat as and when you feel like. Eat, be intentional with your time, for what you're putting together, and all of that. Reduce processed food. Don't let convenience get on the plate. When it comes to the plate, be serious, be intentional, and listen to your body's feedback. Doctors, we could recommend, but your body speaks volume as to, I like what you ate or I hate what you ate. Your body tells it all. Be intentional, be mindful. Do not eat and forget what you ate and not know what on the plate did your body try to reject? Learn to listen to your body. Don't be afraid of symptoms. Symptoms are messages to help you understand if an ingredient in something you grabbed whilst you're being in a fast-paced mood, something you ate, your body wanted you not to go back or re-consume, re-ingest that food again. If you learn to listen to your body, you will note things before you repeat and repeat and repeat until it's too late for you not to have a second chance over those habits again. Next slide. Listen to the body. Symptoms are messages. The body speaks before it breaks. Awareness prevents crisis. Healing begins with tension. So listening to your body is the first step in preventive healthcare. Listening to your body. Learning to listen to your body. Let me throw this in. Some of us, we use the bathroom. We don't even bother to check what was the color of our stool. What was the consistency? Was it watery? Was it pebbly? Was it too hard? Was it normal stool? Was there blood? Some of us doesn't even have that courage. Some, it disgusts us. Some, we're too busy to even take a look at what comes out of us. So listening to our bodies, paying attention to our bodies is very key. As you pee, take a few minutes to assess the pee. Was it foamy? What was the color of it? Everything that comes out of your body have meanings. So let's learn to listen to our bodies and take the right approaches to support preventive habits. Next slide. Thriving in 2026. Health must be intentional, not accidental. And we all know as of now that health crisis pops up on those who moves like they've got two lives. Things pop up on them and it appears as it was accidental. But everything, we know cause and effect. Cause and effect. We nurture everything into manifestation. So when you have this in your mind, you move differently. Be more intentional in 2026. This is the message. Become more intentional in 2026 about every move you do, from what you eat, environment you're exposed to, what's coming out of your body, your relationships with everything around you. Be intentional and see the magic. Let 2026 be the year of renewal. Get rid of old waste that you've been jumping every year. You've been jumping every year with the old waste, old you, and now it's 2026. Most importantly, the message I'll pass on to you is get rid of old toxins sitting in your digestive tract, digestive tissues, impacting all other systems. Like the saying goes, it's not wise to put new wines into old bottles. Make sure that you are getting rid of toxins that you traveled over the years with into this year. Make sure you are positioning yourself for a more years to come in vitality and in strength. in vibrant health. Next slide. So closing reflection, healthy choices are acts of self-respect. And this is where I tie the identity crisis in the beginning of the message so that all of us would understand that it doesn't really have to be something of a hard to do if we kind of have some sort of self-identity. Like I said, if you know your banana, you would move as banana. But if you lack self-identity, you're gonna lack self-respect. It goes hand in hand. It takes a confused watermelon who goes about jumping 10-story buildings with bananas, not knowing that banana could land and be okay, but the watermelon would land and break open into two. And this is what we have found all over the planet, identity crisis. We're breaking into two like a fallen watermelon from heights because of lots of our moves are copied moves and we're paying the price dearly for them. Identity is key and healthy choices comes along with it. So let's learn enough about who we are, what we are, how we're made of. Whatever you are, first know you, and that is what's going to open up which type of healthy choices you are to make. And note that healing yourself, you heal your family. Some of us are parents, passed on to us like a marathon, a weakened digestive function, a weakened nervous function, a weakened reproductive health function, a weakened cardiovascular health function, a weakened endocrine system function. We all came with some sort of a reduced system functions that we need to become aware of and nurture into resilience and nurture into vitality, nurture into health and healing. But we get carried away and then we also passed on that weakness to our children. And it goes on like that, appearing as certain disease runs through our family. Yes, we all know as of now that genetic predisposition have lesser power over us than we imagined or we thought. We came into this world with 20% of various weaknesses we inherited from our parents. And we have 80% power to rewrite our genes, expressions, and gene resilience. However, because certain knowledge wasn't exposed to us on time, we come up with weaknesses and nurture that weaknesses until it becomes our own weaknesses. So become enlightened, be more intentional, and heal your weakness so you could stop passing the weakness to your generations and going about accepting, being convinced that this weakness runs through our family. you could actually choose vitality every day to rewrite your genes and how it's going to express to the frustrations and to every life challenges out there. If you have any health crisis or that you would like to regenerate from, or you don't have any health crisis yet, and you wouldn't like to have any health crisis, you would like to get help with preventive care by going beyond the mainstream approaches to break free from something crazy. Gut Care Group, that is what we're supporting our people with. And we do have virtual consultations, virtual assistance we render to our people. We come up with a tailored health protocols for individual needs to help restore from whatever imbalances you may find yourself with and either prevent what weaknesses you received as a marathon stick from the line you came from. And that's how deep prevention goes. Or to restore a broken system, because the body operates on systems, just as the entire world runs on systems. Industries running on systems. These insights, this wisdom, we learn them from the human body, how it functions. Our body runs on systems. So stop convincing yourself, stop confusing yourself with trying to fix diabetes and your attention is on the pancreas. Trying to fix fatty liver and your attention is on the liver. Trying to fix nervous disorders, mood disorders, and you go about with the specific organs. You do so, you stay in the zone of management. In healing, you're going to have to tackle things in systems. So for instance, if you have diabetes, you're going to have to rejuvenate or reset your digestive system. Because before a diabetes would manifest, your liver has to allow that, or has to allow diabetes to manifest. Before you look at it as a pancreas disorder, it has first been a bowel and liver disorders, spleen disorders, before it actually landed on the pancreas. So by this, we throw in this scenario, this to all of us, and I will bring my presentation to an end. It is known that the liver is responsible for eliminating excess hormones or hormones you produce and utilized by the body. So a lot of humanity today are faced with low liver performance or low liver function. And by that, the liver, with its multifunctions such as seeing to energy production, seeing to conversion of proteins we eat into amino acids that are needed for the body, liver acting in general as the body's main alchemist. If your liver is underperforming, there is going to be excess hormones still retained in your body that your body doesn't need because it has utilize it and it needs to leave the body. But the organ responsible for seeing to these hormones leaving the body are not carrying out their function. This could cause pancreas, as intelligent as every tissue is, this could cause the pancreas to slow down in the way or manner, in quantity, volume. It would release insulin to regulate glucose in the blood. And this is where we find our type 1, type 2 diabetes thesis from. So if your attention is taking in something that will support diabetes and what that which you take is only designed to improve pancreas function or pancreas health, and you neglected the liver, you can imagine where you are right at. You are right only in your mind. So this is what I mean by healing. When it comes to healing or when it comes to prevention, you have to make sure you are healing, preventing your health, putting your health into a systemic order. So if it's about cardiovascular health crisis you have, you should go beyond just taking blood thinners and beta blockers. If it's high cholesterol you've been diagnosed with, you have to understand that it goes beyond just bombarding your liver with medications, whether herbs or chemical drugs to regulate the liver, to be able to reduce LDL cholesterol from your tissues. So I'm saying this to say that if you have crisis, or if you don't have crisis yet, you would like to do better with your health, move with systems in mind, that you would care for your body in systems instead of caring for your body in single organs. So it goes to all of us having digestive complaints, what have you. If you go by systems, that's when you're able to really, truly come off a pill, just as we do in our centers here in Ghana and overseas with those that we assist with our protocols. So I'm going to bring my presentation to an end here and open up for any question anyone may have, any comments anyone may have to support and to help us with more insights as to how the questions may come. Thank you. Thank you all for taking the time to join in on my lengthy presentation.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for such an insightful lecture. Just looking over some notes, I've been taking notes myself. Your body speaks before it breaks. 2026, health must be intentional and not accidental. So amazing lecture. So guys, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand and then we can call on you and you can ask your questions. I'll start because I have a question here. Can you please explain how to enhance the growth of beneficial gut microbiomes?
How to enhance
the growth of your stomach.
Awesome. Good point. So by improving gut microbiome, we're going to have to take into consideration consuming variety, okay? Studies shows that our gut microbes are just like, in terms of functions, they function just like the soil. And since the soil doesn't really like in farming, one way of crop, monocropping, keeping one crop in a particular area in the soil for over and over and over again. That science we learn in the farming practice, that you need to rotate the crops over a small piece of land. So is the gut microbes. They don't like one way of eating. They want you to have variety of proteins, variety of fruits, variety of vegetables. They want you to have variety. And the next, our gut microbes love for us to do for them is to have some fermented foods. And fermented food, most of us, we know it by, kombuchas, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurt, miso, what have you. Fermented vegetables, fermented plant milk. These are all very helpful in providing the suitable environment needed for these gut microbes to thrive. So it works just like the mosquito, breeding mosquitoes. You need water bodies, stagnant water bodies, and you have lots of mosquitoes in the neighborhood. So fermented foods and prebiotics, that is onions, bell peppers, garlic, leeks, and some of the easy to digest leafy green veggies are very helpful. Prebiotics, cabbage, they are helpful in the sense that they help the gut microbes with fiber. They help the gut microbes with fiber, and fiber is the food for the gut microbes. And fiber also is the house for all the vitamins that we read from in our foods. So for instance, if a person is having a carrot, and we know vitamin A is in carrot, this vitamin A is in the fiber part of the carrot. So only by gut microbes function that this vitamin A get out of the carrot skin or out of the carrot fiber into our bloodstream for nervous function. So when we eat prebiotics, when we eat fiber, we help these gut microbes as opposed to having repeated denatured processed foods. So when we eat whole foods, we support our gut microbes. When we drink water, we support our gut microbes. When we rest well, we sleep, we support our gut microbes. And of course, when we reduce caffeine drinks, coffee, alcohol, we support gut microbes. Because the gut microbes, when they are out of order, your food will not digest properly to get the nutrients you know your food contains. And the gut microbes makes the gut the largest endocrine organ. So when they are out of shape, you're going to battle hormonal crisis from the extreme infertility to the common insomnia. All of them are works of the gut microbes we haven't excited with our choices. So fermented food, adequate amount of water, movement, exposure to sunlight, eating wholesome foods, eating fermented foods, and having variety on the plate. Variety on the plate supports gut microbes. And when your gut microbes are in order, you are rest assured your immunity is strong. Rest assured that your bodily functions at systemic level will be smooth. No issues to worry about. Have I answered your question?
Yes, you did. Amazing. Thank you. So
Well,
guys, feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions, guys. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. Doctor, I have another question. Right? What do you think about prebiotics? You know, the prebiotics pills that that you can buy and take for your stomach. What do you think about those? Like the probiotics pills.
well, we have lots of probiotics in a form of pills. You're going to have to use those that are coming in from recent findings, which includes prebiotics. Probiotics that are formulated with prebiotics. Some of them contains inulin. Inulin is a digestive fiber that helps get enough probiotics into the its destinations, if I should put it like that, because lots of probiotics we know in the past were just, I would say, propaganda. They weren't giving back the value in terms of value as their prices or cost were to the consumers, because recent studies, clinical findings have been showing that lots of these pills get neutralized by our stomach acids. So lots of them, when taken, really get nowhere as we anticipate they should. So it is very key to go by those brands that also contains prebiotics, not just probiotics, but they've accompanied these probiotics with prebiotics, such as inulin, and it's very helpful in reaching your gut to serve its purpose. That is, a lot will be, the stomach acid will neutralize some, but most of them get passed over the stomach lining and reaches the duodenum, your small and large intestine, to serve its purpose. But over the years, most of probiotics on the market were found to not be given back in value, reasons we were taking them for. So it is very essential that we take into consideration these probiotics that contains prebiotics as well. Prebiotics are digestive fibers added to the recent probiotics, makes it very helpful in reaching the digestive tract to support various needs.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, guys? Questions, comments? We ran out of time, so my apologies for that. But do you guys have any questions? Anything at all? No?
There is a question in there. Someone says,
Oh,
good evening in the comment section. Good evening, Dr. Biney stated that we should not step out of our genetic makeup. What about those that do not know their genetic makeup? Or is it
mixed.
mixed? Genetic makeup, it's quite easy to know your genetic makeup. You might not have the specific details of where exactly you fall with your genes, as to especially some of us that want to get things down to where I'm from. Am I from Nigeria? Am I from Ghana? DNA tests, all of that. But generally, knowing your genetic makeup from the perspective of how much carbon do I have in me, or how much melanin do I have in me? You could tell from your eyes. You could tell from your eyes how much carbon you have in you. That is basically that is a basic knowledge that is utilized to tell if a person born with a Chinese goes more into African side, or when more goes into more in Chinese genes. So if you like to know your genes, levels of carbon content that you may have and what to do about it, we could actually look into that separately with a discussion outside of here, if you would like to get help on knowing your genetic makeup. I mean, the basics. So you know exactly how to go about eating and being mindful about your lifestyle. What would you recommend for the first drink in the morning? I would recommend the warm water or temperature room water. Infused water, or water with a pinch of Celtic salt. Very helpful. Water with a Celtic salt or infused water is very key, very helpful in the mornings. That's what I would recommend. If, let's say, you drink water and you feel for something else, you want to have tea, I would recommend teas that helps the bowel to move, that kind of maintains bowel motility. And that I mean the rhythm, because daily lives, not sleeping well, not eating on time, and the quality of food we eat, all of this been affecting us in our daily lives. And so therefore, most of us walk around with overwhelmed guts. And in the morning, you would like to calm this overwhelmed gut, frustrated gut, which contains microbiome that does all the things we've spoken about. And then also the nerves, we call the enteric nervous system. That is the nerves that is situated in the gut that actually is tied to memory loss or forgetfulness and anxiety and all of these different nervous disorders that doesn't start from the head, but from the gut, because the gut also houses nerves that are more than the nerves in our head. So having to calm your gut is key. So besides the water, infused water or water with a pinch of Celtic salt, you could also consider taking a passion flower tea, or you could take into consideration drinking a chamomile tea, or a calm nervine or nerve calming teas, such as the list I've mentioned. And they are very helpful in helping with frustrated, overwhelmed gut. So that is my my recommendations for the first drink in the mornings. You're welcome.
Easy. All right. If there are no other questions, then I'll just wrap this up. So thank you once again, Dr. Biney, for your time. We truly appreciate it. Your remarkable contributions to the community at large is great. I've heard testimonies of people that visited your clinic in Ghana, and they all had wonderful things to say about the experience there. And so thank you so much for your contributions to the community. We'll be uploading this video on our YouTube page, and we'll send out the links to everyone. So thank you all for joining this evening. All right.
Yes, thank you for having me again. And I look forward to more amazing works together.
Thank you, sir. And if you all want to check out Dr. Biney's gut care group, his website is www.gutcaregh.com. It's on the screen as well, so you can visit his site and read more about his organization. Okay, guys, thank you all so much once more for joining. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone.